these days, what many people would refer to as spirituality or spiritual practice has been reduced down to certain activities, identities, labels, practices that essentially have been put there as a way to keep the mind entertained, that loves the spectacle, that loves the performance. True spirituality isn't really about that. Spirit is breath, it's the holy breath, it's the Holy Spirit that we receive every moment of every day. And when we sit with that in stillness and in quietude, that's where the revelation comes. That's where the opportunity to release something from the nervous system or the body comes. And it's not to say that there won't be the occasional cathartic or emotional moment with that, but it's not about chasing those experiences. It's about seating yourself in the present moment and allowing what rises to rise and what falls to fall without adding any extra narrative to it. If that were how spirituality was sold in the entertainment world today, online, YouTube and so on, then perhaps people would be less interested. The way it's been sold is that many times you have to be in these big cathartic, purgative experiences in order to be moving your way up the ladder of spiritual maturity. But often what's actually happening is you're moving further up the ladder of spiritual identity, which is rooted in separation. You'll have notions of star seeds and light workers, things like this, which when you listen to people that are in those narratives, quite often there is a sense of separation between them and those who may be, let's say, asleep or 3D or whatever sentiment they're using. So you hear in the language how it's actually a seat of it's a role of hierarchy. I'm awake, you're not awake. I'm a starseed, you're not a starseed. And actually, whether you're a starseed or whatever, it doesn't make any difference in your ability to show up and be present with God in the moment. And that's what we miss. Spirituality becomes about how many labels you can claim versus how many you can lay down. And so there's a big inversion taking place with spirituality and its true essence these days. And I'm not judging. This isn't here to judge. I know that perhaps a lot of what I say on this channel sounds like I'm just having a go at everyone and tearing it all down, and I'm not. I just come because I want to share from an objective perspective and show how it's easy to get lost in a narrative versus being rooted and present with God in the moment, where you don't need the show, you don't need the spectacle. And I've been in it myself. Again, I've done all these things, so I'm coming to you with experience. I've danced in the realm of 5D and New Earth and Lightworker and all that. Don't get me wrong, and I understand how it has its draw, but what many people are finding when they go down these paths is that they get to a point of still feeling, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And then it comes down to, I need to leave the body. I need to get off this planet, this prison planet or this prison body, because I'm not where I'm supposed to be. The notion of going home to another planet is there, or meeting my soul family in the stars, and it's all fed in by separation versus unity, which is where spirit really lives. People will talk about spiritual battles, the spiritual war, the war of dark and light and good and evil, and spirit doesn't have that. There is no war spirit-wise. Everything has its place. It's all one. Spirit knows it's all one. So in that sense, there is no oppressor, there is no opponent, there's no enemy. So if we're talking about enemies, if we're talking about the battle, when we're talking about spirituality, we're not talking about spirituality. We're talking about the mind's game of duality and separation, which is there for a reason, but we have to be mindful of where we are asserting and claiming certain levels of attainment and maturity in spirituality, where actually all we've done is get lost in another identity game. And that's what spirituality has become for so many. The true nature of spirituality is presence, witness, breath, prayer. It's not complicated. The mind loves to complicate, and this isn't a judgment of the mind either. It's just about recognizing how the balance goes, because the mind wants the story to hook into, the narrative to feed, to keep us distracted and engaged. If we were to look at spirituality as something still, quiet, non spectacle, it might not be as attractive to people. Kundalini, I'll just bring that one in because that's a common one that you'll probably hear when you first start your spiritual journey, that we're chasing some enlightenment through an energy surge or a chakra opening, and a lot of people that claim to have had Kundalini awakenings, most of them have just had an emotional or nervous system purge. Because their spine's curled a little bit, they've told themselves that their Kundalini is opened, and they may have received some insights or some clairvoyant gifts or something like this, but a lot of that is still not grounded in anything. There's no gravity to it, because people go up into the realm of timelessness, have a revelation, and then try and bring that back down into the realm of time, and it doesn't transcend, because here everything is a slow and steady process, and giving yourself to God is a process that you do cell by cell, limb by limb, bone by bone, and it takes time, and it doesn't need to be filled with drama. But again, the ego likes the drama. So my intention with this video is not to bag out any practices or judge any journey, because I've been there. I want to share from my own experiences so that you guys don't have to get lost in a lot of that stuff, because where we are going, it's not so much about us forcing or manipulating or claiming anything. It's about us allowing and releasing our need to have it our way, our identity that tells us we are superior or better than another, because we are one. And that doesn't mean that we all have to behave the same way, but it certainly means that no one is better than anyone else. And if you've got a narrative in your mind that tells you that you are separate to someone, that you've been chosen, that you are awakened, that you are enlightened, or starseed, a light worker, a Kundalini expert, whatever you are claiming that gives you a proposed authority or power over another, you're lost in illusion. And that's the revelation of spirituality at its true sense. Is it's just spirit, and there is no battle. The battle is fought by the one who still sees itself as separate, and that's it.